What happens when a nation's leader turns down a generous offer from one of the wealthiest countries in the world? Saudi Arabia, a nation known for its lavish investments across the globe, extended an invitation to build 200 mosques in Burkina Faso. On the surface, this seems like a gift, a gesture of goodwill and religious diplomacy. But President Ibrahim Traoré had other ideas. He didn't accept the offer. Instead, he shocked many by insisting that Burkina Faso's needs weren't met through religious symbols. They were met through tangible development: schools, hospitals, and jobs. This is more than a rejection of foreign aid. It's a bold statement about the future of Africa and Burkina Faso's role in it. But why would Traoré reject an offer that could have strengthened his country's religious infrastructure? What did he see that others didn't? Let's find out. In a world that constantly seems to crave symbols of grandeur, the concept of religious infrastructure is often viewed as a mark of progress and modernity. However, when we turn our attention to Burkina Faso, President Ibrahim Traoré's rejection of Saudi Arabia's offer to build 200 mosques begins to make sense in a way that challenges conventional thinking. At first glance, a country receiving such a lavish gift might appear foolish to turn it down. But for Traoré, the decision speaks to a deeper understanding of his nation's needs and the effective use of resources. Burkina Faso already boasts a considerable number of mosques, many of which stand as historic symbols of the nation's Islamic culture and heritage. The reality, though, is that these mosques are often underutilized. According to several reports, many of the existing mosques in the country are not filled, serving more as monuments than as centers of religious activity or social service. It's a telling example of how religious infrastructure can sometimes fall short of being a catalyst for real societal progress, especially in a country where more pressing needs exist in the realms of education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. One of the underlying factors for Traoré's rejection of the mosque project stems from a clear-eyed view of what truly drives development. While religious institutions certainly play a crucial role in the lives of many people, they don't always translate into the kind of infrastructure that can solve the immediate challenges facing a nation. For Burkina Faso, the focus needed to shift from symbolic gifts to more practical, everyday needs that have long been neglected in favor of foreign investments in religious or diplomatic gestures. Burkina Faso, like many nations across the Sahel region, is grappling with the consequences of limited resources and an unstable economy. The country has faced numerous challenges, from political unrest to the growing threat of insurgents. In such an environment, President Traoré's priority is not just about maintaining religious unity, it's about securing the nation's economic future. He has openly spoken about the country's deep infrastructural needs, especially in critical sectors like education and healthcare, both of which are vastly underfunded.
Because the fight we are leading is not only for Burkina Faso, but it is a fight for all of Africa. It is time to wake up, and that we are no longer led to cross the ocean, to die, to go and look for El Dorado in 2021. We can create it here. Put your work, and I think it is possible.
This is where the existing mosques come into play. While some may view the offer to build 200 more mosques as a sign of generosity, the reality is that it would do little to address Burkina Faso's structural issues. Instead of more religious spaces, what the country urgently needs are educational institutions capable of providing quality education to its growing population. What it needs are hospitals equipped to address the health crises that persist due to underfunded public services. What it needs are schools and institutions that can help break the cycle of poverty by preparing young people for the workforce. These are the types of investments that will produce tangible returns for the citizens of Burkina Faso, and for Traoré, they are the key to long-term prosperity. Beyond the underutilization of existing mosques, there's also the issue of sustainability. A mosque, while significant, is not necessarily a driver of self-sufficiency. It does not contribute to creating jobs or stimulating economic growth. In a country like Burkina Faso, where 70% of the population lives in rural areas, what people truly need is access to opportunities that will allow them to earn a living, build wealth, and contribute to the economy. This requires a shift in focus from religious infrastructure to social infrastructure, things that truly empower people rather than simply serving their spiritual needs. There's also a geopolitical element to consider here. In a region where international powers, both Western and Middle Eastern, often vie for influence. Traoré's rejection can be seen as an assertion of Burkina Faso's independence. The Sahel, and especially countries like Burkina Faso, have long been battlegrounds for competing foreign interests, each offering aid in exchange for loyalty or influence. By turning down Saudi Arabia's offer, Traoré has made it clear that Burkina Faso is no longer a passive recipient of foreign influence. It is actively shaping its development priorities. This is a significant break from past policies, which often saw African nations accepting foreign aid without challenging its terms or questioning whether it truly aligned with their own development goals. The rejection of Saudi Arabia's offer is emblematic of a broader trend in Africa, one where leaders are beginning to take a stand against what they perceive as the exploitation of their nation's resources for the benefit of foreign powers. Instead, Traoré's strategy is about recalibrating foreign relationships to support Burkina Faso's real needs, whether that's through partnerships in healthcare, education, or infrastructure. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. In a broader sense, Traoré's decision signals a break from the historical pattern of relying on foreign aid or symbolic gestures as markers of success. His focus is on self-sufficiency. For Traoré, the true test of success will not be the number of mosques built, but the number of hospitals that open, the number of schools that educate children, and the number of jobs created to lift people out of poverty. As he has repeatedly said, the future of Burkina Faso lies in its own hands, not in the hands of foreign donors or investors offering gifts that don't address the core issues. Ultimately, the rejection of Saudi Arabia's offer reflects a deep understanding of Burkina Faso's needs and a bold commitment to reshaping the country's future. It's a decision that is both practical and visionary. Traoré is laying down a roadmap for sustainable development, one that prioritizes the well-being of the people, not the grand gestures of foreign powers. And while the mosques might be a tempting offer for some, it is the schools, hospitals, and job-creating projects that will build a truly resilient and prosperous Burkina Faso. But how does this decision fit into the broader picture of Traoré's vision for Burkina Faso? And what does it mean for the country's economic future? To understand this, we need to look at his broader development strategy and the initiatives he has put into place to shift the country toward a future of self-sufficiency and resilience. In the wake of rejecting Saudi Arabia's offer to build 200 mosques, President Ibrahim Traoré's broader development strategy for Burkina Faso becomes clearer. It is a strategy rooted in pragmatism, aimed at building a self-sufficient and resilient nation through careful investments in critical infrastructure. For Traoré, the vision is not simply about growth. It is about shaping a future where Burkina Faso relies on its resources and capabilities, not foreign handouts or symbolic gestures. His rejection of the mosque offer is just one part of a larger framework of development reforms that aim to address the nation's deepest and most pressing needs. Traoré's approach to development is multifaceted, targeting sectors that have long been neglected in Burkina Faso. At the heart of his strategy is the focus on economic self-sufficiency. While many African nations continue to rely on external aid or investments from foreign powers, Traoré is making it clear that Burkina Faso will chart its path forward, guided by its internal needs and the potential of its people. For a country that has been heavily dependent on external support, this represents a major shift in policy, one that places economic growth and infrastructure at the forefront of the national agenda. A cornerstone of Traoré's vision is infrastructure reform. One of the key decisions he made upon taking office was to centralize the management of public projects under the Ministry of Housing. This restructuring aimed at increasing the efficiency of project execution by ensuring that every public project adheres to strict technical, environmental, and social standards. The goal is not only to create sustainable infrastructure, but to ensure that these projects serve the people's long-term interests, contributing to a robust and resilient national economy. This reform extends beyond just roads, bridges, and buildings. It encompasses housing, urban development, and environmental sustainability, critical elements that will support a growing population and urbanization trends in Burkina Faso. For example, one of the government's major projects is the construction of 1,000 social housing units aimed at providing shelter for displaced populations. The project is a step toward tackling Burkina Faso's housing crisis, with plans to provide universal access to housing by 2030. The vision here is to create a sustainable housing model that supports both the urban and rural poor, giving them the stability needed to thrive economically. Housing is more than just about shelter. It's about creating a foundation from which families can pursue other opportunities, education for their children, access to healthcare, and the ability to participate in the local economy. The idea of universal housing access by 2030 aligns directly with the broader goals of fostering economic mobility, security, and stability. This project, like others, is part of an effort to bolster internal capacity, reduce dependency on foreign donors, and lay the groundwork for future economic growth. Traoré's government has also prioritized agriculture and local industries as pillars of economic resilience. In a country where agriculture is the backbone of the economy, providing livelihoods for the majority of the population, Traoré's strategy aims to boost productivity, diversify outputs, and make agriculture more sustainable. Burkina Faso has enormous potential in sectors like rice production, maize farming, and livestock. By focusing on these sectors and increasing investment in agricultural infrastructure, Traoré hopes to turn Burkina Faso into a regional leader in food security and agricultural exports. At the same time, Traoré has focused on industrialization to help Burkina Faso move away from over-reliance on primary commodities and import-dependent industries. One of the notable initiatives is the country's push to develop its domestic processing capacity, with particular emphasis on value-added industries. For example, a significant investment has been made in the development of a tomato processing facility in the country, backed by a commitment of $8.1 million. This facility will not only process local tomatoes, which are often wasted due to lack of infrastructure, but it will also provide jobs and help stabilize the agricultural market by creating a consistent demand for local produce. In addition to agricultural and industrial development, Traoré's government is also focusing on sustainable development, aligning with global trends in green energy and environmental protection. This includes initiatives that promote renewable energy, such as solar power, which is abundant in the Sahel region. With access to clean and affordable energy is one of the key barriers to development in many African countries, Burkina Faso's move toward renewable energy has the potential to reduce energy poverty and create jobs in the green economy. This vision of sustainability integrates ecological responsibility with economic development, making sure that the country builds a future that is not only prosperous, but also environmentally conscious. The importance of healthcare reform cannot be overstated in a nation where access to medical services is limited, especially in rural areas. Traoré has made it clear that healthcare is a priority for his government, with plans to build more hospitals and improve the quality of care provided. Burkina Faso's healthcare system has long been underfunded and ill-equipped to address the needs of the population, particularly in rural areas where medical professionals and facilities are scarce. As part of his broader strategy, Traoré is committed to expanding access to healthcare services, ensuring that all citizens, regardless of their geographic location, have access to quality treatment. Furthermore, Traoré's approach is deeply tied to national sovereignty. The rejection of foreign offers like Saudi Arabia's mosque construction plan is a clear reflection of his desire to reduce Burkina Faso's reliance on foreign aid. By prioritizing homegrown solutions to the country's challenges, Traoré is sending a message that Burkina Faso is no longer willing to remain beholden to external forces, whether they come from the West or the Middle East. His focus is on cultivating partnerships that align with Burkina Faso's development goals, not on receiving charity that serves to impose foreign interests under the guise of aid. Geopolitical independence is a key feature of Traoré's strategy, one that resonates deeply across Africa as nations seek to assert their path in the world. In rejecting Saudi Arabia's offer, Traoré is reinforcing Burkina Faso's position as a nation that is not a pawn in a geopolitical game. Rather, it is a nation determined to chart its course based on what is best for its citizens, not on foreign geopolitical competition. By rejecting superficial offers and focusing on real, tangible investments, Traoré is asserting Burkina Faso's right to self-determination in a globalized world. As we delve deeper into the implications of Traoré's stance, one question arises: How does this strategy position Burkina Faso on the global stage? What does it mean for the Sahel and Africa as a whole? Traoré's decision is not just a domestic one. It carries significant regional and global implications that extend beyond the borders of Burkina Faso. As President Ibrahim Traoré sets his course for Burkina Faso, rejecting foreign offers and focusing on the country's internal resources, his stance reflects a broader and increasingly relevant trend across Africa: economic nationalism. This is not merely an abstract political concept, but a tangible, actionable strategy aimed at ensuring that African nations regain control over their destinies, free from the influence of foreign powers that often exploit the continent's resources for their gain. By turning down Saudi Arabia's offer to build 200 mosques, Traoré is not just making a statement about his country's religious priorities. He's making a profound declaration about Burkina Faso's sovereignty and its rejection of external influence that does not serve the nation's long-term goals. Africa historically has been a continent where foreign aid, investments, and loans have often been used as tools for geopolitical leverage. Whether it is the West, China, or the Middle East, foreign powers have routinely inserted themselves into African affairs under the guise of philanthropy or development, but with self-serving motives lurking behind these gestures. For too long, African countries have found themselves entangled in economic arrangements that ultimately undermine their independence. Burkina Faso's rejection of Saudi Arabia's offer is a resounding message that the era of accepting foreign handouts without scrutiny is over. This move also underscores Traoré's commitment to economic self-sufficiency, a concept that has been gaining traction among African leaders who see the potential for domestic resources to power their economies rather than relying on the whims of foreign governments. For a country like Burkina Faso, which has faced recurring economic challenges, such as a largely informal economy, limited infrastructure, and dependency on imports, this shift is critical. By prioritizing investments in education, healthcare, and job-creating projects, Traoré is laying the foundation for a future where Burkina Faso's economic fate rests squarely in its own hands, not in the hands of foreign donors or creditors. However, the drive for economic self-sufficiency is not just a local issue, it's a global one. In an increasingly multipolar world, where global power dynamics are shifting, Burkina Faso's decision to reject foreign religious projects is part of a larger effort to position itself as a leader in Africa's quest for economic independence. Traoré's decision not only resonates within Burkina Faso, but reverberates across the entire Sahel region, where many nations are facing similar challenges and opportunities. His stance is a direct challenge to the idea that Africa must remain reliant on foreign powers for growth and prosperity. Instead, it's a bold attempt to foster regional resilience by focusing on domestic resources, partnerships, and development goals. The rejection of Saudi Arabia's mosque offer also highlights the geopolitical competition that plays out in the Sahel, a region that has become a strategic hotspot due to its proximity to both Africa and Europe. Saudi Arabia's interest in building mosques in Burkina Faso wasn't merely an act of religious diplomacy, it was also a way for the kingdom to enhance its influence in the region. By rejecting this offer, Traoré sends a message that Burkina Faso is not willing to be swayed by foreign powers seeking to expand their influence through religious projects. This is a statement of independence, a refusal to be co-opted into a geopolitical contest, whether it's a competition between Middle Eastern or Western powers. What Traoré's rejection also signals is an increasing awareness among African leaders that foreign influence, even when cloaked in seemingly benevolent offers, often comes with strings attached. Whether it's through the provision of loans, investments, or infrastructure projects, the fine print often reveals hidden agendas, with terms that benefit the donor nation more than the African country receiving aid. By rejecting Saudi Arabia's offer, Traoré is insisting that Burkina Faso's development should be driven by Burkinabe needs and not shaped by the interests of foreign powers. This focus on self-determined development allows the nation to prioritize projects that directly benefit its people, whether that's building schools and hospitals or creating job opportunities through sustainable, locally driven initiatives. So, do you think Traoré made the right choice? Let us know in the comment section. Should Africa accept everything and anything that is coming in the name of aid? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.